Welcome to Tom's Tourney. It is going to be our first round opening up the tournament in the Open Elite Division. Deep Space and Friends versus Ratrack from Bern. Myself, Hannah Pendlebury, on the call. Vibes are impeccable. Stefan Rapazzo alongside.
Stoked for this one, Hanny.
It's Ratrack to start on offensive course. Have attended several Tom's Tourneys. I think this might be their third appearance overall. Nice flow through. Sneaky pass on the run. Schmitz in a bit of domination. Oh, but the error gives an early turnover. That one just not quite making it to Stauffer. Fischer with a lofty blade. Of course, this Deep Space and Friends, a little bit of a project that came out of EUCF last year. Some mixed styles coming across because, of course, there's no mixed division here at Tom's Tourney. A big release, sailing Fischer underneath it, but squeeze between, and that's a nice block. A little bit of that extra height for Stoller. Takes a quick wipe off the disc. It's very dewy underfoot, so you might see a couple of slip slides. Oh, that's a slip slide on the layout, though. Great effort, but just an overthrow. So space with half a field. Millard. Oh, had Samuel in the deep space. It's a curious choice, and again, it is denied. Love to see the scuba, though.
Cheeky options all over the place. The last turnover, Yannick Moulebach. I thought he did a heck of a job, the overthrow there, but the brother of Michel Moulebach, prominent in Swiss Ultimate right now, and is at this tournament, I believe, with Deep Space and Friends as well, but I'll have to check on that. But a couple early turns, jitters, as Stoller wipes that disc clean, ready for more.
So splits back to start, but it kind of becomes a little bit of a cluster. They're going to go for a rip deep. That's a good amount of separation, but oh, the height over the top. Polmeyer then extending it, finding the open arms of Anton Elsmans for the goal. Ratrack with the hold.
Yeah, Gadamian unleashed that backhand and sent deep. The Huck, beautiful throw. These guys like to muck around, I'll say. We saw them playing in the under-20s division at Paganello on the beach. It was not Ratrack, but it was a good chunk of their younger players, and they were just having a blast, throwing junk all over the place, coming down with stuff that you would not expect to be coming down with. And they're having a blast out there, chucking blades, scoops, hammers. They do have some discipline, of course, too. They're not total wild animals, but they don't mind opening their game up with some wild play. Love the finish there, like that. That high release blade, that OI. Nothing too fancy about it, but it was the right throw at the right moment, opened up the goal, and Ratrack take the lead early.
So, friends, again, you're seeing that wipe off of the disc for Wilson. Daniel Wilson, of course, one of 2 siblings out of the UK Ultimate scene. Oh, that's a big rip. Has Jakob Tam underneath it, though. A desirable target in anyone's eyes. And, of course, they make good. Jakob Tam, of course, that Estonian playing for Tartu Turbulence last year. Nice to see he's not got any bandaging of any sort this early in the season, Steph.
Glad to see, indeed. Jakob Tam, prominence with Tartu Turbulence. Somewhat rivals, I suppose, at this stage to Deep Space as a mixed club, but happy to pick up for a team like this. Of course, otherwise known for his work with the Tokai Super Team. And this time it's a Jakob to Jakob connection, and Jakob Dunschern of prominence of Mosquitoes. Used to play with Groot for many years. Now over here being a friend of Deep Space and putting the first assist on the board.
And also, I believe, one of the humans involved in a new podcast talking about some of the stories of European Ultimate players. So make sure you listen yourself to that. But a fantastic option, Jakob to Jakob. And a quick point as well, letting Space's D-line iteration.
So far, Deep Space have proved they've got good friends.
I mean, it helps when you're, a top 4 team in the EUCF mix scene. People tend to want to play with you, and they've picked up some folks from other teams in the UK. We'll talk about that, though, later. This is lovely flow from Ratrack. Oh, lead passes for days. That was so easy and smooth. Gadamian with the goal.
Yeah, Janis Binder, the final upline OI, but there was 2 in a row there. They really worked this near sideline efficiently. They got going and stayed going. The jam it in the jam hole and using that side space sometimes, again, frowned upon by coaching if you overdo it. But when you get moving and those throws are available like that, those are the lanes you got to keep running down, and they do it well here. The first throw, this is Binder on the reception before the lead into the corner, and perfectly used that you could make one track lane that they ran down there on the near sideline, spread it 5 meters in and just take that as the field. But excellent use of space by Ratrack. Hanny, I told you before the game, I reminded you what a Ratrack was. You remember now. What did Benji call it? That's the key. A Zamsnoni. We'll get to the real version after, but now that you know a Zamsnoni, you can start guessing.
Squires puts that one up nicely into space. Packs around. Space not making these reset passes the easiest for each other to bring down. That one not for Katma. Nice slicey blade though. Katma, of course, formerly of Lemmings, has joined the Space crew this season. Dunschern. Oh, that is quite a curious option to take. Well, he's going to make it, though. Oh, a game of pinball for one, but he hangs on. Wilson with the sticky fingers and then shoots it over the top. I'm not sure that one really deserved to happen, but it looked pretty cool, Steph.
Yeah, I don't think it deserved to at all. Heck of a job by Daniel Wilson to hang on to that. Once those things get bobbling, they feel more slippery with each touch. But well hung on to, and then one good blade deserves another, finishes it off with another into the corner. Dunschern here. I mean, I don't know if that's exactly what he wanted, but it happened. What? Okay, got it.
Kind of feels like that catch deserves a bit of a Benny Hill soundtrack, but I love how cool he is, just throwing that knife then over the top afterwards. Cool as it gets. So Deep Space and friends finding their connections, doing it a little bit controversially, but it all counts. I mean, I don't know if the kids still play Flubberguts, Steph. If you know what that is in the chat, then please inform each other. So Ratrack keeping things a little bit more conservative. Just playing through the unders. Binder. You can see how much the handler set are really trying to stay active, throwing, giving and going with each other. Keeping the disc moving. Polmeyer now. Scooping across. Are they now going to have to swing it and reset? Or are they going to squeeze another up line? Fischer trying to pretty much take away the backhand, but that's going to be easy. Speeds. Anton Elsmans just finds that little margin, and they take it.
Elsmans had a huge game at Tom's last year against Isno. A lot of goals, taking skies, taking scalps in the air. This time he's doing it with a bit more speed. There's Freddie P. Polmeyer, who is doing it again. He was one of the primary suspects over in Rimini, throwing all sorts of junk. He does it here. Nice pushy to score. Push passes exceptionally. I guess that was a bit of a pop push. There was some backhand spin on it, but he loves pulling out all the stops. Has a full bag of throws there.
To be fair, in that corner, actually, it's a really great idea of just using that pop pass, push pass, whichever, because trying to execute a forehand with enough softness, it's not a great idea. You don't really have the space, you don't have the time to do it. Love that cheeky pop. So a big sinking, sailing pull. Nice technique as Squires watches it into his hands. Has Katma. Big launch. That's a lot of red underneath it though. Big coverage, and of course it goes to the defense. Never really had the position.
Swiss kid chanting there after that one. Taken down by Sol Gadamian. 3-on-1. Big target they were looking for, but they got to give him a bit more space than that to shoot for him.
Oh, big opportunity here for Ratrack to take the first break of the game. We've seen some turnover heavy points, some clean ones that looked a little bit quirky. That one's going to sail over the top though, and easy pickings for Wilson. Nice lefty smooth backhand. Nice sagging in the lane from Ratrack. Trying to stem this space flow. Now Dunshan. Back to Squires. Jakob Tam well covered, but there's going to be a pick call or a foul.
I'm not seeing any hand signals, so no further indication.
My first instinct was pick, but then I saw the small hand signal of the foul. I think maybe a push-off, perhaps?
Yeah, it's Tam and Eggenberg having the chat there. So push-off sounds about right. And you see the logo there for the Ratrack, the old Zam Snownie. But a Zam Snownie is a snow grooming machine for a ski resort.
Over the top to Jakob Tam. That is a solid option, and no one anywhere near covering it. Great use of the break space, and a chef's kiss from Tam.
Yeah, you see a little bit of the disappointment from Ratrack that he was so open and the score happened so easily, but the real disappointment there was their turnover. They had a glorious opportunity, as you said. There's been very few turns in the game after the first point. They got one there, and the turnover came on just an overthrow error. We're going to have a look at the way these discs went awry. And here's the first one, the 3-on-1, where Gadamian gets up and takes it away. And just as things were looking good, that shot really let them down. Deep space collected. Squires, not wearing the right jersey, but throwing the right looks, finds Tam wide open. Watch Tam. How does he get this open? Like simple cut, it's just like his first 3 steps just blew him away.
Yeah, and after that, Eggenberg just said, yep, you've had me. There's no way I'm going to waste my energy on trying to make a play there. because of course Tam not likely to be spooked by someone 2 meters away from him.
No, that's why he's on the Tokai Super Team.
Polmeyer, spicy blade, nicely kept by Stoller. Thinks about the inside, but has a wide open Elsmans. Nice launch through. Binder. Again, love these upline leads. And that was a nice little stab of the back leg. Make sure it's a goal.
Freddie P. Polmeyer strikes again. Nice finishing cut, but just great possession. That was very simple. Deep Space's defense couldn't really get anything going to resist. It was turn, look, fire, turn, look, fire. No stall counts at all. I don't believe in that possession. Maybe a stall one.
My mind wonders a little bit, Steph, if maybe we might see Space and Friends go for a forced middle, just by virtue of the way in which Ratrack are really effectively attacking the disc, using these upline leaders from largely from moving from the handler space. To see a little bit of scoreboard action. I do believe that's a former Space player, one of the female matching athletes. There's also Deep Space and Friends in the women's division.
Goodness gracious. And they look even stronger by my estimation, Hannah. I think their pickups, and I love the pickups on this team here, but I'm looking forward to seeing Deep Space and Friends in the women's division even more, perhaps.
It's one of the nice things, I think, about the European scene is players too tend to flex across. Does make it difficult, though, when you're trying to balance this thing that I hear exists called a real life alongside your Frisbee life. But Dunshern with the mark late to the party. Easing the pressure. Nice inside to Wilson. He's going to take the launch. Dunshern with a little bit of a touch from the defender, but there, nice and clear. That's a beautiful throw into the space. Nothing that Lurch could do about it.
I like the way Jakob waited that out. Dunshern let it go over the head of the defender. Didn't get sucked in at all by the fact that the defender was between the disc and themselves. And just ran their line, and it did trusted the throw, and it landed right on their head here. And did a good job absorbing a little bit of contact there. You really see the front shiver of the defense onto the back of Dunshern, and again just ran their line, watched it fall in, and you gotta give some applause to that throw there. It was inch perfect, landed right on top.
Yeah, looked like it could have been in a danger space, but also excellent boxing. I enjoyed the somewhat gratuitous sort of back foot stab from Dunshern, but you got to do it just in case. A little bit of a delayed start in the movement downfield for Ratrack, so they're going to boost it. This time it's triple coverage the other way around, but of course it's the grab. Frederick Polmeyer takes it around the world and then has a little game of Mac for one.
There was he just gave us some Gangnam style at the end there. There was room for him to go even higher. It's like he jumped up and brought his eyes to disc level, looked down at all the defenders, and then caught it next to his face. He could have elevated much more. I mean, Ian Tate was part of that crowd around. Not a small player himself. Here it is again. I mean, Freddie P had position from the get-go, but 3 deep space defenders could only stand and watch and say, geez, we probably shouldn't have given them that position. Let's stay behind him next time.
To be fair, when in doubt.
Look at this shot.
Lovely positioning as well to start that deep cut right on the sideline. All the space to work with on the pitch. You can see the separation. And even the big man Tate didn't have a chance to catch it because he just wasn't there to take off in time. He missed his flight.
Missed his flight.
He's going to have to rebook, son.
Don't book with Welling.
Yeah, if you don't know anything about that, then you are missing out on following one of our producer stars, Flexo37, I think he is. Lovely Felix Shardlow, who, if you want to know more about the inside story of why we're not in the best of friends with Whirling at the moment. But Deep Space and Friends, they have so many friends. Blady over the top to Katma. Now Tam. Squires up line, trying to beat Ratrack at their own game. And a flash across the front from Katma. These are pretty quick points. We're going to take a little break here from the broadcast. I will be right back after this.
We live in a world where everything can be referenced online. Imagine if the greatest moments in our sport were never filmed. Eurodisc continues to do what it takes to make free-to-watch live streams a reality. Let's leave nothing to the imagination. We'll consume the action live, and we'll support those that help to make it happen. If it wasn't streamed, it didn't happen. Eurodisc. What a grab! Oh my God! Somehow they do it!
All tied up at 5s here. Tom's Tourney, Deep Space and Friends versus Ratrack of Bern. The Snow Zamboni.
Zamsnoni, come on.
Zamsnoni, there you go. I mean, to be fair, the Snow Zamboni, if you're not familiar with the Wusion yet, that will help you out. Because, of course, you can join us live here on the action. Make sure you're getting in the chats as we see Ratrack just matriculating downfield. Lovely connections. Binder looking for options. Has Polmeyer. Currently the stats leader, 2 goals and 2 assists so far in this matchup. Oh, but Tate coming through. Strip call. That was very, very close. But whistle clean, Steph.
Yeah. Did I think that was a strip? No, not originally. Let's see again.
It's a flurry of a big Scotsman, the flying Scotsman.
I still don't. I mean, Stoller's there. He's got a chili hat. He must have done some trading at Worlds with the Melburnians.
Goes well with the kit.
Here it is, slowed down. I did not think Stoller had that. Not at all. There's no way he stopped the rotation and controlled it. He is entitled to his opinion.
Yeah, he's going to contest it. But, you know, that's the beauty of Ultimate. Just goes back. And fundamentally, everyone has their own truth on the pitch. But it does look, I mean, either way, very cool bid. Stoller casually pops it back to Polmeyer. Now Elsmans. Oh, Tate still looking hungry for blocks. We saw him with a literal sack at breakfast, filling it up with a Tom's Tourney famed breakfast snacks, bread, Nutella, cheese.
Breads and spreads, and a little bit of fromage.
Over the top, taking a leaf out of the playbook we saw from space earlier, and it pays off. Nothing but air swiping through the fingers of Tate, and it is Garamian for the goal.
Yeah, tough point for Tate. I thought he did a really good job on that first bid. My opinion was he got it clean. Second time, he wasn't there, just missed. Tough to get thrown over by that small of a margin for a score always. But I thought he did a really good job defensively, all said. Ratrack holding strong, dictating pace. Hannah, this game is just clean hold after clean hold after clean hold. It is on serve, 1 point after the other. 2 turns on the very first point of the game. 3. No, 2, and then 2 again in the middle at 3-3. So a super tidy game we're into here. And I love to see it.
Another of these very nice balls coming out of Ratrack's defense. Give themselves plenty of time to set up their guards. Polmeyer with taking a switch from one Jakob to another. Ratrack giving plenty of space to the space handler set. Sagging marks, trying to put pressure upfield on the lanes. Nice inside find. Katma having to do a little spindle just to make sure. Slightly loose one to Tam. Then Tate. Oh no, that's not Tate. Space looking for the give and goes, having to find that recenter to the vertical stack look as we get to the final section of the field.
Pick called, I'm not sure exactly where, but that is a super neat stack for midpoint here.
I think there was a tiny bit of clutter on the front of it, and that was where it kind of came, you know, when someone cut sort of out of the hip of the stack. Ooh. Oh, lovely reactions. Phipps with the dish back. This is fantastic containment defense. Deep Space and Friends trying to advance up the field, but haven't made it over halfway yet. Katma fakes the lefty hammer. Doesn't like the look of Wilson on that far shoulder. Space and Friends just taking the patient option off. Well, commentators curse and a half. Oh my goodness, what a redemption. Dunshan collecting the trash. But it works.
Yeah, wild point. I thought Ratrack were coming. I thought they were really doing a good job of limiting the open looks. They were taking away the unders. They were switching well in the stack, and I thought the consistency of their pressure was going to come to fruition as the point wore on. But at the same time, Deep Space said, okay, enough of these conservative options. Let's take a shot now. And as soon as they took a shot, they exposed the honest D that Ratrack was playing. And lucky for Phipps, whose hands it went through, Dunshern was there to be, you know, Johnny on the spot, so to speak, but the garbage man ready and waiting to pick up the trash if it's not collected on the first time of asking.
Well, I'm sure many of the athletes on Space and Friends are glad to be playing with rather than against each other for a change. Nice to see those connections, people being good teammates.
Hannah, it's Galaxy Point.
It certainly is, Steph. Polmeyer, just an easy pop. Oh, it's going to be a little battle on the lead up Space, and it just is a swing and a miss for Gadamian.
Yeah, Jan Gadamian went up a little early there, and the consequence is a break chance for Galaxy Point now for Deep Space and Friends. A tough one. The two Gadamians out there, two Polmeyers out there. A lot of fraternal connections on the Ratrack.
Well, it is something we've seen at a lot of the Swiss sides. And that is a big ripper. Stephen Millard on the chase, but that is great catch-up speed. Cannot deny it. And what a goal for Space, the first break of the game.
Yeah, Binder came in and did have great catch-up speed there, as you said. He closed the gap really well, but by the time he was, you know, hip to hip and had caught up, Millard had taken it upon himself to already be up in the air. He really ripped that one out of the sky and took it down. A great take by Millard.
Yeah, I mean, the positioning from the defense, really strong. I thought that one was, like many of these bigger shots that Deep Space and Friends have tried, going to be going to the defense, but Stephen Millard, big ups. Of course, formerly of Reading Ultimate fame. So Ratrack trailing for the first time in this game. But they've been playing well. I don't think it's going to knock their confidence here, Steph. Polmeyer has the option, streaking towards the end zone, but doesn't like the look of it. Elsmans back to Polmeyer. Nice inside to Gadamian. Love that give-go flow from Ratrack. They try not to fall off piste. Inside, nice thread of the needle to Lurch, who goes for the hammer, And of course, it's another in the collection for Frederik Pohlmeier. Can he be stopped?
I mean, Freddie P is really putting on a clinic here. They just get broken. First break of the game. We've now got a couple mullets on the board. Time to respond, and Freddie P is there once again, as he's been all game long. 2 goals and 2 assists. Is that his third now? Unbelievable stuff by Freddie P, keeping Ratrack in this. Only down a break, but when a game's so tidy, a break seems like a big deficit. They are, you know, now they need 2, and again, this game, it's tidy. That the break opportunities are so few that they're going to have their hands full to try and get a couple now before this game expires. But in Freddie P, they must trust, because, I mean, I'm sure they got trust across the roster, but Freddie P's just putting one on. 3 goals and 2 assists already. Love watching him.
Squires straight out of the blocks. Katma under double coverage, and there's just a touch, which is all that is needed to deny it. Great work from Timon Eggenberg.
Oh, well, there's the turn. They're so difficult to come by, but they got one now.
Sol Gadamian, one of the 2 on this Ratrack roster. High release to another of the Pohlmeiers. Of course, this one's Jan-Philippe. Nice blade across, but it is Squires that sneaks through like a roadblock. Phipson Dunshern being given plenty of room. Cheeky high release. And it's the blade to Katma. It takes it swan-like on the far sideline.
Nice finish for deep space. Squandered opportunity for Ratrack. I think Jan-Philippe Pohlmeier got a little too excited there. Went cross field with that blade. It was perhaps some showmanship, which they really like to get around, as we've talked about. They don't mind throwing this junk, and they're crafty. It works for them a lot. But we were just talking about how precious of a situation it is to have these break chances. They finally got one, and to see it go back to deep space that easily is a little bit of a shame. There's the scoring throw again. Ben Andrews, once of Lemmings, on the assist.
Well, and that is some Lemmings love then, because Katma, as we already mentioned, coming across this season. So half-time, as we hear the jingle, the Hammer Time jingle playing behind us, and of course 8-7.
I got excited. I thought
that jingle means actually at half time as well.
I thought halftime was at 7. I'm still in beach mode. It's halftime now, Hanny.
It is, but this game will continue.
Yeah, got this back. We need the D-line getting there. The pressure's come through. We managed to get some blocks and managed to convert 1. So we convert some. Right now, O-line's coming back out. You guys fresh? Hell yeah. Hell yeah. All right, nothing else to say. Let's go.
Come on. Stay connected. Space off 3. 1, 2, 3, space.
Well, nothing else to say than that. Well, just join us for the second half of this game. Deep Space 8, Ratrack 7.
Watching first game of the tournament, not prominent teams.
Ratrack looking to get themselves back in control of this first round here in the Elite Open Division. 20 teams strong, myself, Hannah Pendlebury, on the call alongside Stefan Rapazzo, and it is Deep Space and friends to start this one. They'll get the 2-for-1 if they can convert this offensive possession. Oh, but it's going to be snapped away. Is there the second opportunity? Oh, double denial. Foul call on the back of it, though. Wasn't quite clean enough.
Now, That's a tough one. I thought Gadamian stayed in front for both touches. So had the right to that space on both touches. Let's have a look again. So here, no foul, obviously. Very clean. Now here's... again, I thought that was very clean. I thought he was well in front.
Well, it's a discussion, I suppose, of, as you say, if you're staying in front and actually denying the space for Phipps, then Phipps is almost having to cause the contact. See if we get it from a different angle with a bit more clarity on that second effort. So it keeps the eyes on the prize. Yeah. So it's going to be retracted after the quick discussion. Right outcome.
Oh, yeah. Love the outcome. Love the spirit that they can come to the right outcome as quickly as they did. Easy for us to give her, but no way. But they're there in the heat of the moments. They've got the pumping hearts, and I love to see the clear minds and making the right call.
Yeah, whatever the call outcome is, as long as you make it quickly, that's what keeps us happy here in the booth. So, Paul Meyer, nice grab from Timon Eggenberg. Hartman now with the visor. Goes for the hammer over the top, and it's a little bit of tippy toe collection. Jan-Philippe Pohlmeier getting on the board.
Yeah, JPP wants to keep him coming with his brother, Freddie P. This adds to the stat sheet there, but he really just had to hold his ground, cut to the break side there, drag out the defense, stretch out the defense, and trust that those break throws can come over top as they do. Ratrack, you know, not quite Mooncatcher's wildness, but they do have a little bit of that in them, as we keep seeing here. Hartman there, a young man who's coming up and getting better with each game. I had a great chat with him outside the party of Paganello. He's a great kid, loves the game, loves being part of it. He has had great success as a youth with the Swiss Mixed program, won some European titles, and is now stepping up on the open age scene and seamlessly or seemingly not missing a step here, fitting right in and contributing.
So another lovely pull from the Swiss. It's Bern side, trying to keep things hot. All tied up 8 apiece.
A couple snowmen on the board, Hanny.
Yes, indeed, Steph. Oh, that is a fantastic grab. Tunchen, peel off on the defense.
Whoa.
Nothing to stop Phipps, though. Plyos for days and shoots a laser, but it's going to be just bobbled enough. Great pick off from Gino Negri.
Wow, that was a great touch there. Just enough. I mean, still went off the outstretched hand of Kapma at the end of it. Gino Negri, that is a game saver, day saver. And they just got their one break, which we didn't stress on the point prior. And now they could take a lead outright here if they can get a back-to-back and start this run.
That's just dishing to Hartman. And plenty of time to make decisions. That is a big hit underneath. Gets up quickly. I think just a bit of a shock to the nerves for Jan-Philippe Pohlmeier. But Dunshine found themselves in an awkward space there.
Yeah, certainly no intent, but Dunshine's got to be much better with the body control there. That ended up being very dangerous play. Took him out entirely from the hips there. He's very obviously accepting and apologetic, but has to be more careful than that.
You can see Dunshine did try and stop, the momentum, but as you say, you've got to pick your angles a little bit better. We expect that, though, because, of course, such high-level athletes, but that's a great way to respond after your teammate takes a knock. Great rundown, and another on the board, a break. Timon Müller with the goal.
Loved that response by Ratrack. As you said, to be able to respond from injury. Sometimes, it looks like Jan Philipp, he's back out there walking around. Doesn't look like he's going to be too banged up. He's a thick boy. He got up and bounced off the turf. But to send it in, great high take by Timon Mullard. And Ratrack have now taken this game. Second half is theirs. 2 breaks in a row. And, okay, it's not over. But they have taken the driver's seat right now. It will be up to Deep Space to respond. There's time. It's a 1-hour game here at Tom's. They've got time, 22 minutes. But well, let's see. The second half might be very different than that super clean first half.
I mean, you say it's a lot of time. One of the things I think is a real aspect of Tom's Tourney is that shortened game format. A whole half an hour that you're maybe used to having in other formats. You don't have that time to make up. So perhaps some of the words that were said in that Deep Space huddle that seemed very confident, I think that might have been down yet.
Indeed it was. First pass turnover. This is not the response Deep Space we're hoping for, just as we're talking about how much game clock they're missing.
Indeed, Steph. Happens at the worst of times, but can Deep Space now put on the clamp and recover? Great teammate work from Sandwell at the beginning, but that is just clean, straight up, running towards the line, foot race action, and it pays off another point. That's 3 unanswered points in the second half for Ratrack. They are blazing right now.
Yeah, absolutely blazing. I think if Deep Space have they taken their timeout? Because if not, now is the time. I believe they have. There's only 1 timeout per team per game. But they need something. They need a deep breath. If they don't have a timeout, they need a fresh line, a deep breath, something, because these 3 in a row, especially that last one coming off such an unforced error, first pass, turfing, they've got to be able to find a way to reset right now.
And that is the challenge of having a team that's a little bit of a mixture of folks who some play together, some play against each other. On your first game at Tom's Tourney, if you can find that ability to just mentally recover and refocus, but it might be that extra bit of challenging, whereas I think Ratrack, you can really see the connections between these folks. Obviously hailing from Bern, I'm sure there's plenty of Swiss fans in our chat giving them the big ups. And of course, don't forget to hit that like button if you're enjoying this one and our coverage so far from Tom's Tourney. It's only just started, but that's an amazing grab underneath it. After the initial work was done, but Gadamian undone by his teammate's low throw. Hartman wants that one back for sure.
And Deep Space evade disaster there. The underneath, the layout by Gadamian in front of Tom. They're lucky to have got that back on a missed throw. Let's see the second try.
Foul call earlier on the play, so that one's going to get a rewind. We did catch that nice slide from Tam on tape, though. And if you haven't watched yesterday evening's showcase matchup yet, highly recommend you do so. Currently, we're 2 for 2 on very intense, very close games so far here on the pitches in Bruges. Squires well covered up line, so it's the release of pressure to Katma. And back, Dunshern trying to streak towards the Deep Space. It stops at half pitch. Town being asked again to make a high difficulty rating catch. Now Phipps. Through to Squires. Sees it but holsters. Katma with a little button hook on his undercut. Casual toss to Dunshern, and you can see the scramble attempt to try and intercept. This is great intensity, but Baffa not quite in the right spot. Katma looking for the give and go. Oh, but it's an easy one up line. Sneaking free, Ben Phipps for the goal. Patience for Deep Space, and they managed to put their first point on the board for the second half.
They needed that one for sure. Just evaded a roving camera there after the goal. Kappa had a couple options before he threw that up line. I thought the hammer to Tam was going to go on the other side. He faked it, and Tam had all sorts of space if he would have let him out. But again, waiting, taking the slightly more conservative option. Here's the fake you're going to see. You don't see how open Tam was on the other side, but waiting to get that. And look out, camera operators coming through.
I do like, though, how, because of course our camera crew are all experienced in covering Ultimate, many of them players ourselves, and I think they liked the look of that Tam hammer as well.
Tammer.
So Ratrack looking to try and stay on top here and maintain their lead of 2. Oh, cheeky. High release offhand. Depth of throws for sure. Inside. Through to Frederick Polmeyer, who puts one up. Oh, great grab from Yanis Binder. Now looking for an option for the goal. Oh, my goodness. Throws it directly at the ankles, and that just tipples into the turf.
Yeah, no chance at all to make that catch. Throw way too low. A little excited after making such a great catch in the air. We'll give one to Deep Space. Chance to level things again.
Yeah, after coming out firing on defense in this second half, some of the fire perhaps spitting out of the grate, being too hot to handle on some of these midsection conversions. Tate underneath it. The big man from the north of the border in the UK. An easy goal in the end. Layout bid to try and stop it, but that goes to Rafael Parens.
Ian Tate with a massive take in a pack. Great patience too. I thought the crossfield look was wide open for him. He could have thrown the score, thrown 4 score earlier, but he took his time. Here's the other side, Ratrack. That's a big grab by Binder, but none bigger than this one. Tate over Polmeyer. See, he could have wide side of the field there. There was an option he was looking at, but it may have not been the easiest flight path. Waits it off just 1 second. Has Parens come back to the disc. And one other thing of note, Alvaro Iturmendi on the sideline wearing regular shoes has not checked into the game. So not sure if that's an injury. I assume as much. But it is an assumption, but definitely not active on the roster.
He's not listed on the roster as far as I can see it, so he might just be here to enjoy the vibes in Bruges, which I have to say, excellent choice. Although right now he might be regretting not being able to help his compatriots. All leveled up, we are back on serve. Ratrack just trying to keep their nails on the edge of this game with just under 20 minutes left of regulation time. That's a beautiful rundown, though. Underneath it, Timon Eggenberg making it look easy out here.
Elsmans sighted Eggenberg, led him way in front, gave me just a smidge of doubt for a second when it left the hand that it might be too deep, but very quickly did that doubt erase itself as the legs got going, the catch-up was on, and Ratrack retake their lead, dictating the pace here, 11-10.
And I've seen some big plays, some big tatties plays, one might say, Steph.
Is that Coach Torben Hornsmeyer of Tiefseetauche fame?
It is, Steph, and I do believe that Deep Space and friends, they even have friends on Tiefseetauche, who of course are playing at Vienna's spring break this weekend, so unable to, you know, be in 2 places at once.
But
Shocker.
they will also feature on ULTI.TV. That's exciting stuff. And as I've heard, Tiefseetauche were in London or in the UK having some warm-up matches, some sharing with Deep Space earlier in the month.
Indeed. I mean, iron sharpens iron, as they say. Tam underneath it, but unable to get his hand in the correct space, just pops it up. like we're going for some freestyle on the beach. Blady to Hartman. Little dip. Nice move through from behind. Oh, Katma on the chase, but just misreads it, and it hits the hands of Mirko Buffer instead. Ratrack 12-10 over deep space.
Super tough catch by Baffa, made to look easy with the defender in front, nearly getting the touch, a little bit blinded. You're second guessing whether that's going to be a maxed disc or not. Here's Tam. Now he knows he should have had that. He was sandwiched, but he did go upright. You see him. I love the no call there. That is an easy place to make a call. He would have felt some touch from either side of him there, but he knows that wasn't the reason he didn't make the catch. And there is the Baffa catch on the other side. Again, super difficult. It's just all the distraction in the world. Blinded for moments of the cut, and then that second guessing of whether it's going to be touched or not, whether you're going to have to react. Almost worse than actually getting touched when you're expecting a touch and it still comes in clean.
Well, after so many clean conversions for both sides in the first half, Steph, we've had 2 holds, clean holds for this second half. The rest of the points have all been breaks. 4 of those, of course, in favour of Ratrack, who started the game on offence with that extra bit of advantage. But Deep Space will know that it ain't over till it's over. 11 minutes, but that's not how you start the comeback again. Just overthrow Squires, and that's going to be easy pickings, just racing through Jan Garamian. And another goes on the board. 13-10, Ratrack 2 away from hitting hard cap.
Well, Ratrack are flexing late game here. The second half has been very much in their control. The 3-point lead and expiring clock is just looking very favorable for them as the deep space errors and ineffectiveness mount.
Well, timeout being taken, unsurprisingly. Deep Space giving some proper gifts to Ratrack, who've been happy to unwrap those bows. Don't go anywhere, folks. This game will reach its climax in a few minutes.
I'm Steph Pazzo, and I must eat. Sometimes commentator, sometimes food eater. On my ultimate travels in 2023, I sampled culinary classics from all across Europe. Oh, wow. Guided by some of your favorite ultimate players.
That's the Dutch hospitality for you right there.
I'll give you an insight into the secret spots that only the locals know of. Are these the best schnitzels in Vienna?
Yes, of course.
Yes, of course. Go find Steph Pazzo on YouTube. Like and subscribe and follow the European Ultimate Must Eat series.
We are Hive Ultimate, a group of players and coaches from all over the world working together to progress the next generation of Ultimate strategy. We've helped top teams win world championships and new teams introduce the sport in a fun and inclusive way. Search for Hive Ultimate on YouTube to learn more about our cutting-edge strategies and to see analysis of world-class teams. To find out what Hive can do for your team, head over to our Patreon page where you can gain access to our exclusive drills and session plans and to join our worldwide community of coaches. Get ahead of the curve with Hive Ultimate.
Another of these big Ratrack pulls. Deep Space looking to stay alive, trailing by 3 with about 3 times that to go on the game clock. Katmet to Dunshan. Some of these early possessions have lacked cohesion for Deep Space and friends, which is to be expected for the first game of a team of a collection from different elite mixed clubs. But this is great defense from Ratrack, really taking away the stretches upfield. Dunshan grinding through the gears to get open, uses the momentum to try and launch to Fisher. Underneath it, though, of course, taken away. Great position, looked like it for days. Benjamin Lurch will walk it back up to the front line. And Ratrack really enjoying the vibes.
Ill-advised throw. The defense was in between the whole time. That throw had to go the other angle, the other outside in.
Negri is going to go for his own launch. Not entirely sure exactly which target was supposed to get it, and there is just that little bit of a stumble. Mirko Baffa unable to make the full layout. Great defense by Ben Phipps.
Yeah, loved that defense. Really could have got sucked into going up early and trying to get it with the right hand. Really waited out a step, took a jab step to the left, got the big left hand over the shoulder, and that touch blew the play up. And we'll give Deep Space another chance there. There it is again. Beautiful defensive swat.
Really ambiguous huck there from Ratrack. So Squires will take his time. And a vertical stack coming out of Deep Space once again. Early movement from Wilson. Love to see that, giving the options in flow. Now looking around for Squires with the casual toss pass. Dunshan leaves his mark in their mark in the dust. Phipps through to Fisher. Katma now on the cone. Are they going to go for any kind of reset? Yep, taking the easy ones. Fisher to Dunshan. Ratrack trying to be tactical about it, but it's Squires just with an easy little cheeky one up the line. And that is a nice hold to try and steady the ship for space.
Only 6 minutes to go, but that's what they need. I like the Squires dance move before the upline cut. He came back into the dump space. Quite vocal sounding, wanting the disc, really selling it. And the upline cut was perfect. Here's, we're going to get another look. And Fish, there, we didn't actually see the move there, but the move made to change directions there by Squires. Fancy feet, very fancy feet.
So Deep Space with all the work to do as this game starts to reach its conclusion. Just over 5 minutes remaining on the game clock here at Tom's Tourney for our first round of play. Round robin format. And a nice deep pull from Space. Quickly moved around though. Stoller on the upline. Polmeyer now through to Elsmans. Turner making a call. And back in play. Elsmans moves it to Polmeyer. Looking very calm and in control right now. Godamian through to Polmeyer. Nice little bit of presence of mind on the toes. Oh, and a casual high toss, and he misses it! Late stage. Frederick Polmeyer, who's been so consistent and so dominant for Ratrack, just a swing and a miss.
Yeah, went up early. I don't think he needed to. I think he thought he had that in him and couldn't come down with a glorious opportunity for Deep Space to try and chip closer late.
Gilboy looking for an option. Has Turner. Parents trying to make it good, but that one just sinks out of bounds.
Yeah, glorious opportunity squandered. Parents there. The throw didn't come off, but the option wasn't right. You're throwing to Tate, and it feels good. He's a big unit, but he did not have the separation. And the throw's obviously got to stay in bounds, so be better than that. But they were working it well upfield. I think that should have just been looked back to center there as soon as he saw that, the separation was so minimal. Let's not throw 50-50 balls just because he's the biggest guy on our team.
So the same sort of effect faltering both teams. Ratrack now going to have to go for the full stretch to advance it. Nice find to Schmidt. Now just refocusing the positioning downfield. Lurch got a little bit caught there. Offhand, and it just drips out of the palms. Anton Elsmans unable to make the catch. Just a really awkward release.
Yeah, the turnovers are mounting on this one. That was not necessarily Elsman's fault. I thought the throw was kind of a knuckleball chucked in, a wobbler. Elsman's would have had to make a great catch to haul it in, but wasn't able to do that. Deep space again with this chance. Can they make it this time?
Yeah, offhands look cool, but sometimes they don't work out exactly how you drew it up. Herrens through to Millard. Takes the one over the top to Turner. Oh, that's a lovely idea, but just a little bit too early on the release.
Quite similar to the last one to Tate, this time to Turner. They're really just getting over-ambitious, trying to find that end zone right now. You know, when it works, it's great, but not in power position. A stagnant thrower, waiting, winding up, trying to throw the perfect throw. It had, you know, they're running out of space. It was still covered up well enough. Not the right option for deep space twice in a row in similar situations.
Perhaps a little bit of lack of definition of the roles here. Space playing a little bit more loose and organic. Unexpected things coming from unexpected folks. Holmeyer connects with Stoller. Has Gadamian with lots of acreage on the far sideline. This is really nice flow again coming out of Ratrack. They are sailing down the piste at speed. Oh, cheeky break, but exceptional footwork from Anton Elsmans on the back end of it, and that will be good enough for Ratrack within one of the soft cap with just under 45 seconds remaining, Steph. It's going to be a game to 15, but can Deep Space do anything about it?
Well, I mean, they certainly can. They've got the they've shown the potential to be able to win this game, to be able to win on almost every point they've been in. But they're in the second half, they've proven to be a little overambitious. They're trying to score too early in their sequences. They're not sticking to their systems. They're not. What they're not doing particularly is looking back to the center of the field, like resetting it in the middle and giving yourself options on both sides, you know, on a break lane and on an open lane, and giving themselves, a much higher percentage of scoring. They're trying to score quick, and that does happen when, again, you know, a shorter game, you feel the pressure, game's ending, and you feel like you have to score sooner, but that's always a deception in your mind. You got to score, and scoring cannot be sped up. These defenses are too good. There's no easy way around. You play your system, you follow it in, you work it the whole way in.
Squires staring down some slightly later movement as we just hear the end of game jingle starting to drift towards us over the sound system. Sweet Little Lies by Fleetwood Mac.
I mean, I hate when games are over, but I love the end of game jingle.
Well, no lies. Hit on the pitch. Squires looking around for the reset. And again, Ratrack really not putting too much pressure on that off-handler position. Nice inside shot for Katma. Cheeky fading. Deep space not really making too much penetration through the field. They're just taking the casual ones. Squires now has Phipps in a little bit of space. Oh, but that's again, little bit of just legs getting caught up in each other.
And that was Polmeyer taking the hit last time, Polmeyer giving the hit this time.
Yeah.
Both of them bounced back to their feet quickly. Unintentional again, but these are dangerous moments where they're going to be a bit more careful, a lot more careful.
The throws are leading them to have to sort of make last-minute adjustments that otherwise kind of, you know, unconventional defense doesn't see coming. That's a lovely hammer, though. Dunshern putting it up for Katma, extending the game by one at least. So cap is now formally applied. Ratrack 14, Deep Space and Friends 12. And there's one more point potentially to play here for Ratrack if they can put in a clean hold.
Yeah, this is where games get tricky to finish. This is the joy of Ultimate. You've got to put the final nail in the coffin, so to speak. You can't just walk away with a win because you're out in front. you know, strategically theorizing, don't let them win is a lot of coach talk, sideline talk. Let's just prevent them from one more. Extend the game, and it's amazing how difficult it becomes to score that final goal when the pressure mounts. When you start feeling the pressure, you know, especially if you miss once. If you have like 3 game points, as they do right now, and you miss the first one, those next 2 get very precarious.
Well, Ratrack have found some exceptional form in this game against Deep Space and Friends. Paul Meyer pops forward. Elsman's now going for a little game of catch in the centre. Salfa back to Elsmans. Oh, that got a little bit risky. Gilboy nearly able to snaffle the disc away, but good recovery. That little just injection of nitrous oxide into the legs. Stauffer available for the reset, but has Elsmans upfield instead. Is it going to be for the upline drag swag? Yes, it is. We go back to the theme from the beginning of the game. Ratrack have officially made the piste suitable for every level of skiing ability, and they will take their first win here over Deep Space and Friends, 15-12.
Yeah, very deserved win. I thought they played the better game top to bottom here, so deserved. I like that they started off kind of gunslinging, a lot of wild throws, hammers, some blades, and they really did calm things down, or at least deviate their attack throughout the game. They did slow it down, go through a lot of hands throughout the game, and then we're happy to go back to it when they need it. You see the point there by Stoller, the captain, finishing it off. But great game. Loved the resistance by Deep Space. They had a few too many mistakes, and you can't get away with that against a team like Ratrack.
Well, if you are joining us live or if you are watching this one back, it's been a pleasure to bring you our first game here of our coverage at Tom's Tourney 2025 in Bruges. We have a full schedule for you. If you want to know exactly which games are coming up for your delectation, if you're know that you can go to tomstourney.be to get the full live schedule. Coming up next, Steph, who do we have?
Next is the Italian under-24 team. Some big names there. We've seen them coming up from Padova a few years ago, getting stronger and stronger throughout the rosters of the Italian club scene. And they're taking on last year's EUCF finalists, silver medalists, Moon Cup. There's been a lot of changes in personnel over. I'm sorry, it is not Moon Cup. I'm getting ahead of myself. They're taking on the tourists from Dubai, Tiki Taka. Who we had the pleasure of working with over there about a month ago. So excited to see them on the pitch here in Bruges.
Well, we will jump out of the booth. It's been a pleasure to have you alongside us for this matchup, though. All this coverage from Tom's Tourney, live and free, available on YouTube for your viewing delight and pleasure. I've been Hannah Pendlebury for Stefan Rapazzo. We'll see you on the next one.
Thank you. Thanks.
Yeah, ultimate.
ULTI.TV.